discover liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, your one-stop shop for in-depth commentary and discussion on the Star Wars book that came out today. It is Wednesday, February 19th. I guess 2 books did come out today, but we're only reviewing one. It is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. It's the 8th week of comics in 2025, if my counting is correct. I hope that's right. Joining me, I'm Matthew, coming to you from Underworld North here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Joining me across the border, Underworld, New Jersey, it's Chris Abbott. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Especially really good because it's always nice. Now, I do like going to the comic store every week, but now since thanks to Dark Horse and Marvel, we don't have to do that to keep on top of everything. Yeah. But I still, go there once a month, and well, I'll show you like my good old buddy Black Panther. No, the Masked Panther used to do this on his YouTube channel where you go, all right, here's the stack for this week, guys. And he would show the stack of comic books. And I'm like, this is over $50 worth of comic books in my hand for basically 4 weeks. So I had a nice gift certificate. My parents gave me the local shop for Christmas. So I was able to exhaust that all in one go. And it's a nice feeling having a heavy stack of comic books in my hand. So that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I still definitely go to the store. I don't necessarily go to the store Wednesday. We should all support local. The weather is being weathery here in this part of the world, so that's also part of it. But being able to get to the store, pick up at least variants, if not the direct edition of the books, and then we're both reading other books, other comics, other publishers. I'll hold that against you. I'm not reading another publisher. I'm just reading Marvel.
I'm reading this, right? This is the thing you're referring to. This greatness that is All-Star Superman.
That probably is pretty good.
There we go.
Yeah, but I'm mostly doing Marvel. I mean, Image, right? Star Wars adjacent. Any Charles Soule Image book I'm going to read. So there we go. But we do have one Marvel book to get to this week. We'll get to that in a second. Got the plugs out of the way. Got to get this in the right order, Matt. You got to do things decent in right order here. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Ion Cannon and Twitter at Ion Cannon Pod, Instagram Threads as well. Mostly Blue Sky. Joel's been more active on Blue Sky. So yeah, gotta get things going there. Of course, at Star Raptor, StarRapter, and YouTube.com/StarRaptor for all of Chris's reviews and comments, and we'll get to those plugs again at the end. If you prefer audio, more your speed, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we're there. I do believe Apple Podcasts is going to be down for a minute on March 1st. But other than that, check that out right after we're done recording. I take the audio and pop it up onto Spotify and Apple. So if you do prefer to listen rather than if you're driving or whatever, please do feel free to check us out there as well. Last but not least, we are proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Here on the Underworld Network channel, we got YouTube memberships and super chats. If you chat with us, we'll get to your comment as best we can as soon as possible. If you super chat us, we'll definitely get to it immediately. Of course, if you are willing to support the channel through membership, we're grateful for that as well. Last but not least, the Discord server. I think there's maybe a movie night, a games night. I forget when it's coming up, but check out. There's conversations chatting away in the Discord server, chatting about Captain America, chatting about different Star Wars things, whole bunch of Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars Underworld. So, of course, different conversations there. So you got the link in the description below for that. Yeah, we were both in there. Pretty good community that Ben and Joel have continued to put together. I say this every week, but it's true. Just those kinds of things need to keep the lights going, keep the lights on. So good job with them in general. So we'll pick up the plugs again at the end. But yeah, let's dive into the one comic book that we have this week. It is. Oh, you got one more thought. You got one more comment. Go for it.
You had mentioned a variant cover that you might pick up every once in a while. Yeah. I couldn't leave the store without this one. This is pretty awesome. So
Oh yeah. Oh, I
The
need to grab
May and
that.
Asha variant cover.
Yeah.
It's not like the 1 in 25. This is the normal
The Black
listing
History
price.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I guess it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
Black
I just
History
love the fact that you have Osha using the red lightsaber there. That's pretty freaking sick. So when it's got that cracked like Kylo Ren aesthetic, and it's very fitting because this is the beginning of the end for the High Republic. So
True. Yeah, it's true.
I had to pick that one up.
Trying to see who the artist was. That might be Mateus.
Let's see. I might be able to find it easier than you on this.
Mateus Mahanini did that one. So yeah, credit to him.
Yep.
Vale on the cover of Ahsoka, Lando on the Rise of Skywalker adaptation comes out next week, and Mother Anastasia on Legacy of Vader.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
So that's gonna be good. I guess that already came out, so definitely pick that up. Go to your local comic shop, pick those up because those are looking fine. All right, let's dive into the book itself. We've got Fear of the Jedi, High Republic, Fear of the Jedi, #1, written by Kevin Scott, art by Mark Cresta, colors by Jim Campbell, letters by VC's Ariana Marr, cover by Mr. Phil Noto, the direct edition cover, I should say, by Mr. Phil Noto. What Scares the Jedi? Author Kevin Scott returns with artist Mark Cresta, Dr. Aphra, and Captain Carter fame for the galaxy-shattering final arc of the Star Wars: The High Republic comic book, at least. As fighting within the Nihil occlusion zone intensifies, Jedi Master Keeve Trenis is set upon a path that will change her life forever. Guest starring the Acolyte's Wookiee Jedi Master Kalnaka, alongside fan favorite characters from Star Wars: The High Republic, novels, audio dramas, and comics. We got a bunch to go into. We got time to go into this, so we're gonna think about just overall thoughts. I do want to get to this at the end, but I think I'll pick this up now. This one very much picks up right where we left off. There's multiple at the ends with the boxes, multiple. Yeah, listen to this audio play. Let's read this other comic book. Read this comic book from another publisher from Dark Horse.
That was I was going to say that. I was like, oh my gosh, they actually promoted another rival company's comic book. I was actually shocked with them doing that. I don't think they've ever done that before. I actually made notes in my thing. If you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. So I'm happy you brought it up.
Yeah, that's High Republic for you guys. If you're diving in, welcome to everyone who's diving into this. But that's what, Chris, I know you and I love High Republic in part because it's continuing a story across different media. Even there's some things in this that if you read Temptation of the Force, the novel, you'll know is significant, right? The stuff about Naboo, for example, everything. It's just maybe thing I always say. It's just a different appreciation, maybe a different level of appreciation. I don't know. Maybe folks who aren't as well versed in High Republic jumping into this book, or who at least just read the comic book, the Kevin Scott's comic books, the High Republic run, or maybe have or haven't listened to Tempest Breaker. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what their perspective of this is. I think mine is, this fits so well. Just like we thought, right where we left off. I'm glad we revisited the Tempest Breaker audio drama a few weeks ago, just to get it back in our noggin because it's so relevant. It's incredibly relevant. Just where Lourna is, where Keeve is. And then the way this book situates us now in it, because it jumps right into the middle of the thing. It jumps right into Dakna and Morka they're from the annual story, I think, right? From one of the annual stories, Dark Horse Annual. And then
wait.
I think, is
back
that right?
up a second. Those characters, the green characters?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't pick up on that.
That's fairly sure. From one of them, like from the Lourna and Ty Yorick, I believe. Or no, maybe from the finale of, oh my gosh. It's too many things. I know come from a Dark Horse comic is where those characters come from. I know one involving possibly involving Lourna D and Ty Yorick. And we'll get to Ty Yorick in a bit. But yeah,
that was the last issue of Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone.
Yeah, that's what it was. So that was the last issue of Dispatches. And then I think the Tyoric, and yeah, we'll get to her in a minute. She's not in this comic explicitly, but she is implicitly in this comic book. Yeah, but anyway, it does drop us right in to Morka and Dakna under attack by Nihil, and literally just they're literally under fire. They're they're being shot at, and in to save the day is Master Keeve Trennis and Skier, again picking up where we left off, and just an exciting start to this comic book that is really setting up, and we'll go into both these characters, really setting up Lourna and Keeve to be, I can't even say 1A 1B, 1-1 lead characters in this 4-issue run. They were kind of emerging as 1-1 in Kevin's comic from the phase 3 High Republic comic, if we can call it that, as distinct from this one. And so definitely picking up where we left off. That's all that's kind of my opening salvo there. What are your kind of overall thoughts on this, and also about its connections to everything that has come before?
Wow, I'm shocked. I am actually shocked.
Did I miss something?
That you kept it that concise.
Oh, I've got a lot more to say.
Many words. I'm surprised that this issue did not go for 10 minutes on this one, because I sure remained. I remained quiet specifically the whole week because I read this and I was like, I'm just not going to say anything. The whole reason why I went to this darn comic book store, no, I'm not saying darn like I hate the comic. I'm just saying the only reason why I went to the comic store is because this issue was so freaking great that I was like, I want to read this thing in my hands physically. So I made the extra trip just to go out to get this thing, to read it before the show tonight, because as I'm looking through the PDF, I'm going, oh, this is not doing it justice. I got to actually see these beautiful splash pages. I mean, come on here. Like, you got amazing sequences like this.
Yeah, so that's the game drop.
Like,
in, right?
Awesome. And there's another one in here with the whole shot of the fleet. I'm a sucker when it comes to these gigantic fleet shots of just the amount of different variety of ships. Sorry, I'm trying to flip through it. I should have been prepared
I should
for
say,
this.
I thought it was fantastic issue. Don't get me wrong. This is great. It's a great start. Yeah,
this is the money shot right here for me. I'm just like, this is incredible. You got the long beam ship. You got the torrent ships, I think they're called.
Yeah.
The other class of ship that Bel Zettifar was on with Yoda, I think, at one point. So yeah, no, but it's just not because of the layouts. I think the story was really good too. I think that this really feels like, if you are as into the High Republic as me and you are, as you said before, the idea that all these things are coming in, like Kevin Scott, like I feel like everything he ever touched in the High Republic is coming home to roost in this issue and in these 5 issues. Like do we know if it's 4 or 5? I feel like,
I think it might be 5.
I hope so. But because if everything's this quality, I want another 4 of these, because this is so good. I love the idea of Keeve Trennis and Skier out there on the fringes. I like the idea that we're also getting a look at Naboo in the comics. I don't think we've seen Naboo physically in anything before, like at this era of time.
No.
I mean, we've been there in the novels, but we haven't like physically seen Naboo. So that's really cool for me to see it there, covered with the Nihil flags, like just the history of what went through with this planet. And this planet is going to be Palpatine's birth planet. It's crazy to think about that it's being ravaged by Nihil 200 years, about 150 years prior, things like that. But then also like this unseen power, this great cliffhanger. Things like Vildar Mac's ghostly appearance showing up, and then another version of Lourna showing up with a battle like this crazy stuff happening in this issue. But it really starts to dive in with these characters and their allegiances and their history. I think it pushes the characters so far already in one issue. Like you're looking back in time going, I remember when Keeve Trennis just got knighted in the first issue, and now she's a master, and she has been through so much stuff at this point. And we're getting to see her in this manner. But yeah, that's my opening salvo. Is like, I thought that this was a great way to start. It really feels like the culmination. And I said this last week, I'm pretty sure. I said my big wish for this issue was to make it feel grand and epic in scope. And I definitely think that that's what this is, because we have the fleet there. One last thing. This wasn't even in the story, but it was in the opening credits saying that there are 4 different flashpoints, if you will, for the Republic, and they can't lose any of these or they lose the battle. Right. So you have what's happening on High Republic Adventures. You got everything on Iriadu. Then you have everything on the fringe of the border of the occlusion zone, which is what we're dealing with, I assume, in this in this comic. That we also have the Blight stuff that's going to be going on with Rhys Silas. And as we know, within Trials of the Jedi, that's where we're going to take the Nameless head on with Markion Rose. So we can see the finish line. We know how all this is going to come to a conclusion to a certain degree of like, all right, where these next couple books are going to be placed, what's happening with the comics. So I like to see that we have like the full vision now going into the end.
Yeah, this crawl, I mean, it's a crawl, I think probably just for this comic book, but it serves as almost the 4th or 6th crawl, major crawl, because I've used these, right? I mean, each phase has its own initial crawl, and then maybe halfway through
each wave technically kind of has
each wave kind of does, but it feels like, I mean, some are more important than others, just the way the rhythm of the waves work. Rhythm of the waves, they're waves on Irem, you know, crashing. And so this one definitely feels like that. I hope it actually, I mean, it should they should actually replicate this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this in the novel, in the I guess the young reader novel or the young adult novel coming out soon, is Into the Light. Yeah, because it's the final confrontation between the Jedi and the Nihil looms, right? That's the thing. It does give this comic book that kind of bigger scope that a 5-issue comic book might not normally, but here it sets that up. With, this is, I mean, that's just it. Is like you were saying, it's this comic book, it's the young reader, the young adult, and the novel, and that's it. And we're done. I mean, there's
manga.
There's
we got the manga too.
The manga. The manga may be something to do with. I
feel like it's the occlusion zone, kind of like on the brain.
Yeah, or and then the High Republic. Or the I mean, I feel like High Republic Adventures is probably going to be more important than Young Reader, but High Republic Adventures is almost done. There's 2 more books there, so I believe 16 and 17, and that's it. And so, I mean, definitely you can count on one hand, basically, what's left. And so that means everything is more important. These 5 single issues all have this weight to them. And just to look at the release order here, we know today, March 26th, April 30th, and then although you'll probably get a preview of that the week before. And then I'm guessing May, and then June, and Trials of the Jedi also comes out in June. So, I mean, I'm hoping it's before June 17th. I'm hoping it's before Trials of the Jedi comes out. But, I mean, still, that's cutting it extremely close. So that means, I mean, that just makes me think, Lourna and Keeve, such pivotal characters in this whole story. Avar shows up in this whole story, in this comic book at least. So, we know, of course, she's probably going to be a big player in Trials of the Jedi, as she was in Light of the Jedi. So, definitely everything coming together, coalescing, like you said, this feeling of grandeur. And this was a great entry point, really, into the finale, the High Republic finale. I've said previously, the High Republic finale, it's upon us. Now it's truly upon us.
Yeah, I feel like we are in that final wave for sure now.
Right now. So you mentioned Keeve when she started out. Lourna, when she started out, she was in with Markion. She was a Tempest runner, and now she's on Naboo. So let's dive into her character in this comic here. She's there on Naboo, like you said, wild to see Naboo with the flags. We know that's the stronghold of the Santekas, but it's being taken over by the Nihil. Some of the Santekas are kind of in cahoots with Nihil a little bit, but trying to, Carr especially is trying to resist that. He was infected by the blight. So all these things coming back from previous novels and whatnot. So here's Lourna and she's got a mission. She's ostensibly a bounty hunter.
Yep.
The Tempest Breakers are ostensibly bounty hunters.
They're bounty hunter guild, yeah.
And Quinn's there. First of all, first time we see Quinn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, oh, that's the character from the Tempest Runner novel or the audio drama.
That's Quinn, who's Lourna's partner in more.
She's a bival alien, in case any of you are wondering. She's appeared in the species that appeared in the Clone Wars, the Zilla Beast episode. I know that just gets me ridiculously close to being an absolute nerd.
There we go. Okay, again, you're talking about Star Wars comics on YouTube, Chris. if you want to be close to being a nerd, I don't know.
I don't know. Can you take a look at my background and explain what kind of a person I am just by looking?
So anyway, so I love the first of all, you see Lourna and Quinn actually I think they're about to suck face, which is good. We know they do. Who knows? I
was like, I'm surprised Cav went that far with that joke. I'm like, dude, I don't know if we've got a sexual innuendo that strong in Star Wars in a long time.
We get around there. Anyway, I really love this character moment with Quinn being Lourna. You're a bounty hunter. You're doing this for credits, right? You're doing for the credits, for the business. And Lourna's like, yeah, sure, but our client happens to be the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order, and they're actually trying to clean up the galaxy. Just one more pro bono, one more, and it's just amazing to see again what we thought of how far she's come.
Yeah,
as really finding her moral core and moral conscience. Yes, she still has an edge. Yes, she still has the sharp teeth. Fascinating at the end to see, maybe the cost of that, the real confrontation of that, because this kind of shadow Lourna, her subconscious, it's almost being externalized. She's not giving into it so much, so it maybe trying to resist it. And this is that vision at the end that she has. But here, I think the real kind of confrontation and what's happened in the way that I think this story is structured is both Lourna and Keeve have a character that shows up that shows them where they're at on their hero's journey, if you will. And their hero's journey is in opposite directions. Maybe that's what I've thought. Going back to the Kevin Scott comic. I'll explain what I mean with Keeve's hero's journey in a bit. But Tonaka from the Acolyte shows up with his Padawan that we knew from the one-shot Yarzyan Vel. So cool. Oddly enough, on the cover, he has the tattoos. We know the tattoos are about Yarzyan, his Padawan, in Kevin Scott one-shot. And here Tonaka shows up as a Jedi still holding out on Naboo and helps take out the Nihil that being confronting them. And there's Yarzyan saying, you know Elzar, man. Oh, that's really cool. You guys are in cahoots? What's going on? And it really, again, Lourna's ability to collaborate with Jedi, picking up on everything from Tempest Breaker, especially Tempest Breaker, but also from the previous comic with Keeve and with Avar a little bit. Well, definitely with Avar and Tempest Breaker. It's a lot more comfortable. She's a lot more, we're doing this together. We're confronting the Nihil together, even though obviously she still is able to stand apart from the Jedi. And so Tonaka represents this collaboration. It'll be fascinating to see Quinn keeping the books in mind. Again, you're doing this for money. You're doing this because we're a business here. I do think Quinn, in Tempest Breaker, Quinn becomes her moral center, becomes Lourna's moral core. The reason she actually goes and fights for the well-being of the galaxy. So I think they'll be okay. But this was them, great traipsing through Naboo, through Lourna's story, and then that moment at the end where she's attacked by her own dark side. A lot like with Yoda in the season 6 of the Clone Wars, right? Something like that is happening. So fascinating for someone like Lourna to have to confront that, because again, she's stuck to not the dark side, but she's had a dark past, and for that to rear its ugly head, its ugly masked head, for her to be a confrontation. So that's my thoughts on Lourna, my commentary on Lourna. Again, really well. If I have a lot to comment on, it means it's really well written, really good story, really giving us the juice to consider. Okay, this is Lourna embracing, taking up, the cost of heroism, and that be an interesting contrast to Keeve. But before we dive into that, what are your thoughts on Lorna's story and everything I've talked about there?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Lorna. I'm more interested in talking about Kelnaka. So
yeah, go for it. Yeah, talk about Kelnaka. He's there. I mean, that's part of Lorna's story, right?
I think you've said everything I would want to say about Lorna, so that's awesome. But yeah, with Kelnaka, first of all, I like the background. Again, I keep diving back into this whole thought of like Naboo under occupation of Nihil pirates is just a really fascinating idea. And what's interesting is these Nihil are going, oh yeah, there's no more Jedi here. Like they thought they got rid of them all, but no, you got Kelnaka and his Padawan, and it feels almost kind of like the Phantom Menace, where you have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just jumping off the balcony and just taking out all these battle droids. Like I got a little bit of a feel out of that, like the idea that these guys are the resistance on the planet, and they're just do everything they can. And it's nice that Lourna and the Bounty Hunter Guild are able to come together to be able to come to like, okay, if you help me get, I mean, we didn't even mention what they're there for. So they're hunting Hatar. And Hatar, we found out her origins in the annual that Cavan Scott wrote with Baron Bulan. The character got experimented on, and that ultimately became Hatar, who was introduced in Phase 3 of the High Republic ongoing. So that's really cool, because I kind of forgot what happened to her. I think she's the only surviving child of the Storm left. There was one in the young adult novel that Reith dealt with, and then there's the other one that I want to talk about when we get into the Keeve Trennis. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and the idea that Tay Sarek also, we get the ramifications of like, it wasn't no flippant thing that they had in the what is it? I keep saying Tales from the Occlusion Zone. Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone. How the hand of Siberys, the Sith artifact, got shattered, and now and we get to see the fallout, which is really neat. Like he's kind of like down that he doesn't have this power anymore that he was relying on so much. So it was cool to kind of catch up with that character as well and see his droid back. But yeah, as far as this whole idea with Kelnaka, I love it because we're going to get to see this guy in action. We didn't see enough of him in the Acolyte, but I've always been very, very interested in seeing a Jedi Knight at its full power, Jedi Master Wookiee at his full power. Burial is still kind of learning, see what he's capable of, and we get to see quite a bit of that in this issue, just, easily taking down these Nihil. So that was fun.
Yeah, we definitely get more of Kelnaka in this comic book than we do in the actual whole TV series. Is what it is. Yeah, that's an interesting point. You got Burry. He's basically knighted, right? If he,
I think at this point he is. Yeah.
You have Arkoff, who's
Arkoff. Yeah, that's right. From the manga.
You get him in Phase 2. You get him younger, but yeah, he's older there. So yeah, you're right. Kelnaka in his prime. They're holding out on Naboo. Everything with Naboo's so fascinating. Naboo in the High Republic so fascinating again because we first see it in Light of the Jedi.
I'm wondering if they specifically did something. The architects of the High Republic that specifically wanted the story to kind of end at a certain point on Naboo to maybe create instability in the government, to eventually have Palpatine have an easier time to like take it over in the future, to be like the Senate, to take a position in the Senate, or become a senator. Maybe he's like emboldened by the idea that his like city was taken over by by the Nihil, and that's like an inspiration for him to like get into politics to like try to prevent something like that from ever happening again. I would like to see them like retroactively do a nod to like some kind of thing with Palpatine in the end.
Yeah, I can see
That'd be
that.
cool.
I mean, some sort of maybe even kind of dark side connection. You know who's chomping at the bit to do that is Mr. Charles Soule. Fit that in. I mean, there's room in a whole hunk of novel to do that. So maybe something. Also, I mean, you think about Naboo, you think about I mean, one of the things kind of in the historical background to the Phantom Menace is this long-standing tension, long-standing grievance between the whole prequel trilogy, long-standing grievance between the periphery with the core. So much so that they secede, they separate, become the Commonwealth of Independent Systems, otherwise known as the Separatists. And I think one of the implications with the Nihil is, and with the Occlusion Zone especially, is that here's this kind of precedent, here's this injection of cynicism for a Coruscant government. And so if Naboo can become kind of this flashpoint, yes, we know it's chosen for the blockade because that's where Palpatine is, and that's part of getting to engineering his ascent to Supreme Chancellor. But also, there's probably some resonance there to say, yeah, maybe there is this long-standing grievance that Naboo represents to put it in this language, the colonial foothold of the Republic into, I mean, I guess they're in the mid-rim, but they're kind of on the cusp of the outer rim, and they're definitely near the Occlusion Zone. And so, that kind of grievance. Almost, I almost wonder, trying to think, maybe kind of the way the Middle East, the more westernized parts of the Middle East, I gather other folks look at, I mean, that's the Israeli-Palestinian, Israeli-Arab conflict, right? Look at, look at those westernized parts of it with suspicion, and so I wonder if that's kind of in the background there as well. So choosing Naboo as a big place in the High Republic definitely, definitely good track. I'm sure they're thinking along those lines. So very curious to see how that ends up. Any more thoughts on kind of the Lourna, Quinn, Kalnaka? All right, so we can jump in. My girl Keeve, again, like you mentioned, she starts off kind of meditating. She says Ocriff, and she gets admonished for saying that. This isn't going back to 2021. This is going back to phase 1, number 1, meditating there, trying to, and she's just knighted. To now, and aspiring to Jedi greatness. And then in Tempest Breaker, of course, she has these real questions. If the Jedi aren't going to go and save Skier, if they're going to sacrifice him, is that the kind of order that she wants to be a part of? And is that the kind of Jedi she wants to be? And here we have Mr. John saying, you can't answer every single darn stress call, buddy. You don't have time. You simply can't do that. You're the marshal of the fleet. And what that splash page and even like I think you mentioned this when we talked about Tempest Breaker, the title marshal, it really is this resonance with the Marshal of Starlight Beacon. It's just that now Starlight Beacon is being destroyed. Now it's this fleet confronting the Nihil along the Occlusion Zone. There's this, she's made it, is the point. And Avar there being this reminder that she's passed on the mantle, that Keeve has really made it in this amazing dialogue with Avar and Skier, saying, Keeve is an extraordinary Jedi. Does Keeve understand that? Does Keeve grasp that? You mentioned Kebaba, I forget how to pronounce his name, but those again, another great shot, another former Child of the Storm who was a master, and it was Ty York's master, and this is why I brought up Ty York. And this is from Dispatches of the Occlusion Zone, of course, a Cavan Scott character, not from Dispatches, from the Annual.
Saber for Hire.
Fair enough. One of the one of those stories. The thing that Kevin Scott wrote.
There are so many
There's
references
too
in this
many.
darn book that even we're getting confused.
yeah.
They're not saying a lot.
I should have just kept notes. I should have made notes. But anyway, I've gotten the story down. I got the characters down. I know where they are. I know who they are. Give me credit there. Anyway, so he shows up and just he was, he was one of Baron Boolin's experiments set loose.
Child of the Storm,
Child of the Storm, and now supposedly reformed in the Jedi Council. Says the best way to continue to rehabilitate him is to toss him off to Keeve and let her put him into action and trust him. And she wants nothing of it. She isn't going to take it. It really is this pressure. I mean, I almost wonder for her, it's like, it's almost maybe similar to say, okay, you didn't want to go rescue Skier, and instead of giving this guy a break and a rest, you're putting him into action, and we have enough to deal with. Why do I have to take care of this and risk everyone else and everything else going on for this calculation that the Jedi have made, the Council has made? And this is what I mean by Lourna and Keeve's journey being in opposite directions, right? Lourna embracing deeper collaboration with the Jedi, really getting that they are out for the best of the betterment of the galaxy in this time, probably most times. Keeve continuing to question that from within, saying, this weight of heroism that has been thrust upon me, I'm not interested, or I'm starting to stifle and strain and buckle under all these expectations, under under all this pressure. Interesting kind of contrast to Reith, who has somehow been able to rise to the occasion and not let it get to him. Keeve, because everything with Skier, I think, and everything we've seen her encounter. And even Avar not showing a great example in phase 1, right? Of going AWOL and almost taking out Lourna. Remember that? And keep having well, hold on a minute. She's, this is not the Jedi way. All those experiences, and here she's saying, I can't live up to that. I don't want to live up to that. It really is putting all that pressure. Kevin's done such a fantastic job of building the pressure on her shoulders to the point where we know it's going to collapse, it's going to break, and we're going to feel nothing but sympathy for her. We're going to be, this is a tragedy waiting to happen. The departure of a master from the order it's always a tragedy and always a cautionary tale, because it means that the order itself somehow went astray if that big of a voice, big of an influence departed. Now with Dooku, of course, it's a different story, but here with Keeve, we're seeing we're seeing that the sheen of the Jedi just isn't what it was. Again, she signifies ultimately, again, it's 100 years later with Vernestra, but Keeve here signifies she's detecting the end of the golden age of the Jedi, and that is what her departure is going to represent. And so we just haven't done such a great job of giving us this clear story. And by clear, I mean we can really follow it and see it happening in front of our eyes. And here we have yet another step forward in that story of all this pressure on our shoulders. So so much so. I've said a lot. What have you thought of Keeve's story in this and everyone else?
Going back, simple thing, going back to the dogfighting moment, which I really enjoyed. Just Star Wars is always so good at like starting a story just like mid-action sequence, like go back to the New Hope, go to Revenge of the Sith, or we were in the thick of it, just let's go, so having that kineticism right off the rip was something really cool. Like just two Jedi working together, even just the details in the artwork. I got to shout out the artist, because just seeing the vector in the reflection of the cockpit. I don't know if you picked up on that, but
I think
that was such a cool subtle nod to be like, oh, the Jedi are out there, they're watching. You watch out, Nihil. We're on to you.
America and Jim, great job.
Yeah. So that was cool. But like the whole conversation between, and it might seem flippant and not really like important at the time, but I think it does rely on the character and the ideology of the Jedi, of basically her coming in saying something to these people in need. And then Skira's like, oh, why would you say that? You should have said something like, for light and life, or the Jedi are here. Like he wants to have this pompous circumstance kind of big reveal for the Jedi is like these like untouchable noble people, warriors, and she's over there going like, hey, I'm not doing that, that's not me, this is what we're doing, blah blah blah. And I can already see like that's just a simple bickering between two people where it's like you got the old man saying one thing and you got the young person doing something new. And that will set her far enough off pace from wanting to, one of the many things of ammunition to get her to leave the Jedi Order. Something simple like that, as well as just like pushing against Avar with this new recruits. We get to see Orbelin again, which is nice because he's one of my favorite characters. And the funny comedic beat where it's like, wait, don't tell me you're splitting yourself in two again. He's like, well, you got to meet this guy. And she's like, who? And it's him, Sababa. But it was, I'm happy because I forgot that this guy was actually on the cover of the issue. So I'm hoping that he's going to be not just like a guest, but he'll be a recurring character.
Orbelin?
Orbelin, because I just like the fact that this is a glob of goo essentially holding a green lightsaber.
Oh, yeah. I that performance. Oh, who voices him in Tempest Breaker?
The voice actor for that in Tempest Breaker was brilliant.
I have his voice
heavy
in my head.
the heavy British accent,
almost like this kind of Nixon in Futurama kind of voice. Oh man, I'm trying to see the cast here.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, just seeing a lot. We didn't see like a big lightsaber moment, but I'm more or less curious to see how Lourna and her get to meet up again. Now we're meeting. This issue is really good for kind of catching us up. Of course, if you have, I don't know why you'd be a new reader to the High Republic starting here now, but if you were, this is doing a decent job of catching us up on all the storylines that maybe you missed or maybe you forgot about, picking us up. And I feel like issue 2 is really gonna get the ball rolling with, this is the immediate threat. These two different groups are going to eventually meet up as we see them on the cover of the first issue, all fighting back to back. Should be pretty good. But there's just like little subtle things. I think you already talked about just the idea with Avar and all that. It's a really good character development for her.
It's almost, again, contrasting Lourna and Keeve here. That again, it's Lourna who has this vision from this ghost of why am I blanking on the Jedi in Phase 2?
Vildar Mac?
Yeah, Vildar, this ghost of Vildar Mac. And that could also be related to Hatar. Remember, these children of the storm, they can plant visions in people's minds. So that could be something going on there. But there's always more, right? There's always what is about the character.
And the blight doesn't make people do that, right? Because don't people feel the blight sometimes, or do you have to be force sensitive for the blight? I'm forgetting.
I mean, the blight affects everyone, but I don't.
But they don't feel the fear around the blight, right? I don't think. That's what I'm trying to figure out what this was about.
No,
but you might be.
Remember, children of the storm are sentient beings who have nameless blood in them, right? Which is this weird, crazy idea. But that's George Mann for you. I think that's from the first Phase 3 novel, Eye of the Storm. No, Eye of Darkness. But I mean, there's definitely bringing out something about this character, about their insecurities, and the ghosts is to Lourna. He knows you have lost, worthless pretender, before you've even begun. Again, bringing back to Tempest Breaker, all these roles that she has: princess, tempest runner, enforcer, bounty hunter. Forgotten who you are, Lourna D. Maybe time for a reminder, and it's her as a tempest runner, jumping at her with this axe here. Yeah, it's fascinating again how it's externalized for Lourna, but I think internalized for Keeve, in the sense of we're not going to see Keeve have to kind of face this shadow version of herself. She's going to look in the mirror and see, oh, what it is the Padawan and knight who would say things like, for light and life, and may the force be with you, whatever, that she doesn't connect with those anymore. Whereas Lourna might actually start to say those things and mean them. Yeah, you're great to point out the different kind of the little auditory cues, if I can use that term, just the actual the things they say, and the things they say and the things they do, of course, but the way they describe what they do, using these, like Keeve says to Skier, something more iconic, these icons of the Jedi, these kind of verbal icons of for light and life that have resonance and have meaning, but through what Keeve's experienced, it's going to have less meaning. So yeah, Cavan, student of religion, he knows what he's doing there. Literally, he has academic, he has a university education in religion, knows what he's doing there. So yeah, excellent issue. Any last thoughts on Keeve's story? Any last thoughts on the comic as a whole? Again, how it holds together.
Yeah, pacing was really good. I like how it's just the two different plot lines going forward. As you mentioned before, it's like a 1-to-1 with both characters now. I can't even call it a Keeve Trenna story anymore because so much of it is Lourna D, and this big long running thing. But I love when you mentioned it before about going from a Tempest runner to an enforcer to a bounty hunter, blah blah blah. Like her long lineage of different roles is really interesting to see. A princess, all these different things. So getting to see how far she's come. And just the finality of it, it really does feel like the end is near, and that's what you want to have the feeling of when you're going for something for 4 years long. We're seeing how all these pieces are fitting together, why they were introduced in the first place, all coming back, and I'm reading this comic going, oh, that character from that, oh, I understand what's happening here because that happened in there, and now they're teaming up with this character, and it makes sense why they were introduced in a one shot because they're coming back. So nothing is ever forgotten, and this certainly seems like it is. It's you're gonna get more out of this. You're gonna get more mileage out of this story if you've definitely read everything like us so far. So
yeah, I do think the Blade, what's his name? He's kind of getting. There's supposed to be another comic with him.
Well, I guess not anymore. Let's say retroactively do it.
He might show up in why am I blanking on his name? Good grief.
Porter Engel, the Blade of Pordota.
Porter. The soup guy. He'll probably show up in Trials of the Jedi then. But so there's some things that I guess along the way they had to realize, okay, gotta course correct. But overall, definitely coming to a very tight conclusion. At least as far as we've seen of the finale, it's been pretty tight. And that was the big question: how are they going to finish this? Are they going to finish it in ways that are coherent with everything that's come before? And what we've seen so far, they really have. So, looking forward to I'm not looking forward to being done because loving High Republic, it's my favorite thing in Star Wars over the last number of years, and so but again, this comic book reminds us of how well they've come together. So that also just even talk about even the issue itself, the pacing, it really does feel like there's even if we're focused on the Lourna story, the Keeve story feels like it's still moving, especially the way they transition, right? You talk about that splash page, the Jedi needing all the help they can get, Lourna saying that, and then we have the splash page to the fleet. The way those moments are set up, really well done, really well put together. So yeah, 4 more issues in this one to go. That's going to take us basically to the end, and then of course Trials of the Jedi right there. So yeah, it's setting itself up really. I mean, I guess Into the Light is probably going to be the second most important thing, but how do you qualify?
Yeah, judging by that spoiler that I read in the Insider comic, there's something big happening in that book, apparently.
I don't want to know. Or
maybe it won't happen. It could happen in this comic. Who knows? All I know is that something got spoiled, and I'm like, what the heck?
In Valiant Vow, right?
It was the synopsis of Valiant Vow. It gives away something that happens before that we don't know about yet.
I don't want to know. I will wait till I actually read that book in order to read the comic. Hopefully I get my magazine in soon. There's a good segue. Or unless you have any last thoughts on this comic book. There you go. There's a good segue to the next few weeks. I as mentioned before, I'm going to be, I mentioned on Canada at least, I'm going to be in those United States next week. So I'm going to be traveling for a conference. So no Tractor Beam next week. Thankfully, there's only just the Rise of Skywalker adaptation, I believe. So well, there's only
we got lucky on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about it for like 5 minutes about whatever like the new scene is, but I mean, we're gonna have probably a deep dive discussion like we did tonight, like talking almost a full hour about the one issue. Basically, we'll be doing that with Jedi Knights 1, but yeah, we'll sneak in an Insider short 2 as well.
Yeah. So hopefully my issue of Insider comes in. Let's see. That's always a fun thing to worry about. Yeah, definitely Jedi Knights is top billing for the next in 2 weeks when we get back to it. Definitely top billing. I mean, you never know. You never know with us. Iowa Bishbog or something about Mustafar happening in Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the question. Again, we're talking about an adaptation. There was an adaptation that came out today. I mean, you read it, right? You read Ahsoka.
Yeah, I really hope that this is the last of this format.
Yeah.
I get they make money off these things, but no one talks about them. Like, no one's online reviewing these. Like, even the big reviewers are not really reviewing them. Like, just read the room, Lucasfilm. We really just don't want these anymore.
You know what?
It's like, I mean, sure, make an Acolyte one. That'll be an exception. I'll buy every issue of that.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they haven't made a Book of Boba Fett one, like they haven't. Wait, they made an Obi-Wan one. They haven't done an Andor one. There's several series that they haven't done. So hopefully this is the last in the line. So I just want to have more resources that they can put towards news stories. That's all.
You know what? Instead of making these adaptations, like, why not? Because the whole point of those are the variants. And the first appearances, right? It's and the variants are I mean, first appearances, okay, collecting, whatever. The variants are definitely a legitimate creative output, an outlet, I would say. I mean, that's why I mean the only issues of Ahsoka I really bought. I think I bought issue number 1. Maybe did I? No, I just bought issue number 5. Episode number 5, because I mean, I just love that, the visual of Hayden and Ariana Greenblatt right there. I mean, I'm gonna want to see that. These are artists. Just instead of Marvel, Lucasfilm, commission prints, sell those for $10 instead of selling the comic for $5. Sell those prints for $10, and they'll fly off like hotcakes. Or in some, I don't know. I don't fully know how the system works, but that just seems like a better idea if you really want to do something.
It feels like they only make comics based off of. Do we ever even get a Mando season 3 comic?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it seems like they're only doing stuff that's well received to me.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to make Book of Boba Fett because most people seem like they don't like it.
Yeah, it's just not
Mando season 3 was pretty cold. Most people didn't really like it that much. Acolyte is too divisive. They're probably not going to do that. Like, I think that's what I mean. I think Ahsoka's probably the last one for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it will be. After Rise of Skywalker, it'll be very interesting to see what they do next. Because this has been their cash cow. This has been their cash cow. As soon as one adaptation ends, look, next week we get a brand new one. Like, they've been trying to train this, but they're running out of track. So we're going to see what happens next.
So, I mean, that's what was so weird about this announcement 5 years later, 6 years later after this film comes out.
I think the only reason why is because we're getting the legacy of Kylo Ren, so the legacy of Vader. So like, why this is a perfect time to do that? You're going to bookend it, and then also the fact that like, oh crap, we like I just said, like we don't have any adaptations we could do right now. Oh wait, what about that Rise of Skywalker script that we had done sitting there? Oh yeah, let's just do that to make some more money.
And now hopefully Jodie Hauser, she was having health concerns, so those have hopefully been. She's been able to come back to work. That might have been a factor as well. I don't know, but that. So looking forward to what's new about that comic book. Seeing if it is. That's the problem. Like I'm gonna be harsh again. I read these adaptations. I'm like, yep, watch the episode. Yep, I've seen the episode. I'm not engrossed in it like it's a new story.
I think part of the problem is too that they draw them out so long.
Yeah,
like it's like I'm actually looking kind of forward to the Rise of Skywalker for a simple fact that it's going to be 5 months, not 8 months. When you think about it, it's like we've been getting the Ahsoka issues for 8 months now.
That's 8 episodes, right?
Exactly. So it's like they stretch this out so much longer than it needs to go, and it's just because of finance reasons.
That and just an easy way to. I mean, the episodes are. Mostly contain stories, oddly enough, of different lengths. So that's another weird thing. Whereas a comic book, it's going to be the same length. I mean, that 5th episode is super long. I love every second of it. But the comic book has to be the same length. Here, it's a film. It's not episodes. It's, there's the first act and the second act, which is longer, and the midpoint and all those things. But those actually probably translate better to a comic book. So, I mean, I can see them doing the Skeleton Crew one. I can see them doing that. It'd be fun if that was Dark Horse.
Yeah, that'd be so fun, good.
But it's still, I mean, I'm on the fence about doing it if it's just an adaptation. So this, again, that's the thing. Is it just an adaptation? This is hopefully more than just an adaptation. We'll see. We'll see next week, if I'm able to get it on the plane or whatever. But also, Jedi Knights, bring back to that. Yeah, definitely. Mark Guggenheim knows how to tell a story. Qui-Gon Jinn and Tensu Ren is from what I gather. At least definitely Qui-Gon Jinn, Qui-Gon. So looking forward to this one for sure. Top billing. Yeah, an Insider. You've read the Insider one already, right? You have. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Again, going back to High Republic, favorite thing in Star Wars. Keeping up with the Adrons, I'm guessing. So there we go. All right, I think that does it for the episode. We're gonna hit the hour mark. But Chris, as always, thanks for joining in. I forgot to mention, I saw that. Jesse, thanks for watching. Tyler, thanks for watching. Hopefully, get to some of your books in a few weeks. I don't think those are both Marvel books, but next time we get to a Dark Horse book for sure. And Chris, thanks for another great conversation. Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me over on youtube.com/StarRaptor, 3:00 Eastern. I put up my quick synopsis recaps of said comics that we discuss on these evening episodes. So if you want to get a quick hit on what I think about those, quick fire, go ahead and check those out. But I've also been diving into the podcast world once again. We had our latest episode, Out of Room Transmission. Me and my co-host Ben were talking about Star Wars video game collaborations, because they recently had one in Destiny 2. Then that brought us along the topic of Lego Star Wars, and if you can go back in time, Angry Birds Star Wars was mentioned for a few minutes, and a whole bunch of other cool things that I've dug up for nostalgia purposes. So that was a fun one. This week, we're still figuring out what we're going to talk about, because it's been pretty slow, and I think it's going to be that way with the news up until about about 2 months from now, we'll be hearing a boatload of news at Celebration.
Sure.
But and besides that, I've been doing I would say it's been pretty consistently weekly with these video game videos I've been putting out. I put out one last week about my top 10 most anticipated games that have been announced so far for 2025. Today, I put up my first impressions, kind of first thoughts on Xbox's latest RPG, Avowed. Put 20 hours in, so I just give you guys my first thoughts on that because I know it's going to be like an 80-hour game for me. So I said, all right, let me just record something real quick to let you guys know if I like it or not. So check that out, youtube.com/StarRaptor, and you can follow me on Twitter for some fun game clips and things of games I'm playing at StarRaptor as well. But yeah, good show tonight. One issue, we spend 1 hour though. Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. Why not? Right? And these are probably our better conversations, I'd say. Yeah, bit of breaking news. I don't know what battle, as in Bad Batch or Battle of Variadu. I don't quite know which one he's.
Oh, the Battle of Variadu?
Maybe. So High Republic Adventures, but good to know that's probably issue 17. I guess. That's Comicraft's
I thought the battle. Maybe he can answer yes. Is that a one shot or is that just folded into
Battle of Variadu one shot? So there's basically three issues left. There's 16, 17, and
I'm wondering when that issue is coming out.
This is by Lisa Wong, I believe.
Is that the finale? Maybe the Battle of Variadu. Maybe that's the finale issue of the High Republic.
Yeah, probably. There's 2 Battle of Variadus, right? Sorry. Doing research on the go. That's okay. There you go. Yeah, that's right. So there's basically 3 issues of High Republic Adventures left.
Not the finale. Okay.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so probably Battle of Variadu.
Maybe like 16, April that'll come out or something. Maybe.
Well, yeah, we'll keep you up to date, or we can look on Wikipedia right now. We'll figure that out. Anyways. So definitely check out Outer Rim Transmissions, everything Chris is up to over on youtube.com/StarRaptor and at StarRaptor on the Bird app. I'm on the Photos app, MEUG1138, it's Instagram. And of course, Beaches Foodie, at beachesfoodie.foodie. Check that out. Posting more there. Also on Blue Sky and Threads at MEUG1138. Also Twitter still, the Bird app, MEUG485. And of course, Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and of course, Ion Cannon on Blue Sky. This past week on Ion Cannon, I wasn't there. This is a holiday, so I took that off. But I know Joel. No, sorry, we didn't have an episode because just things came up, life happened, so we didn't have an Ion Cannon episode. It's coming week on Ion Cannon, I believe. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Joking. Dude, but stay tuned.
That is what we're dealing with. No one knows what we're going to talk about in any episode.
Again, I'm traveling. I will literally be probably landing in Kansas City while the thing happens. Hopefully the flights are good.
Oh gosh, what's happening out there these days?
Gotta lay over in Chicago somehow, but there we go. That'll be fun. At least I'm an upstanding citizen of the world and want to benefit the United States of America as best I can. There we go. By my presence, grace your country with my presence. There we go. Anyways, I will be traveling on Monday, but yeah, stay tuned for the Ion Cannon podcast right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and then also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And then of course, follow us Tractor begin 2 weeks from now. The Rise of Skywalker adaptation. Jedi number 1, Jedi Knights number 1, and hopefully the Insider short. And then, yes, I do every Monday and Wednesday night, Tyler. I take you guys back here, right here, Underworld North. There we go. Why not? If the borders, you can still cross the border. You can still come visit. That's fine. For now. There we go. So please join us next week, in 2 weeks for that. And please do check out your local comic book shop again. Go to your local comic book shop. Pick up that fantastic Black History Month variant by Mateus Manhanini and all the variants that are coming out. And, of course, the direct editions as well. Support your brick and mortar stores. We're here for them. We love them and everything they do for the community. Yes, Rise of Skywalker adaptation, Jedi Knights, and hopefully Insider Until then, happy reading.